Sci-Hub is one of the main current projects in the scientific world for obtaining academic articles. Currently, it holds more than 88 million articles ranging from research papers to book chapters, among others. It is also one of the most controversial projects because the articles are not obtained legally, which eventually brought serious problems to its creator, Alexandra Elbakyan. These problems range from multi-million-dollar lawsuits to an espionage accusation. Despite the repercussions, Alexandra decided to provide free access to these articles, earning her recognition at the age of 22 as the Robin Hood of science. Alexandra was born on November 6, 1988, in the city of Almaty in Kazakhstan. From a young age, she was always interested in science. Thanks to her mother, who was an engineer and programmer in the USSR, she always had access to programming books and a computer, where she began to explore how this world worked. At the age of 12, she discovered the internet and learned how to create web pages, a skill that would help her in the future with her biggest project. During this time, she discovered a vulnerability with some modems and was able to access the internal database of her company's system. Starting her life as a hacker, she reported these issues but was only reprimanded. By joining forums, she learned various programming languages such as Delphi and PHP and made friends who further introduced her to the hacking world. She began undertaking different tasks that would later help her consolidate her most important work. After graduating from high school, she decided to pursue a degree in information technology at the Kazakh National Technical University, named after K.I. Satpayev. For her, it was not difficult because, after years of being self-taught in this field, she already mastered many of the topics covered. Although she felt somewhat disappointed with her choice, Alexandra had a passion for knowledge and learning new things, a constant theme in her life story. Due to a fascination with transhumanism, she decided to dedicate her thesis project to neural interfaces, relating it to the topic of cerebral electromagnetic fields. It was during this stage that she encountered a significant problem. To research her thesis, she needed to find scientific articles to enhance her investigation. She searched on Google Scholar and found several scientific articles on the topic, but the main issue was that accessing them required paying around $30 per article, something she could not afford as she came from a low-income family. She was used to finding all articles and books for free on the internet, and since she couldn't get them for free, she applied her hacking knowledge to use accounts from different universities to make some queries, which she didn't like very much. This was the first time Elbakyan encountered the problem with publishers and the limited access they provide to researchers. After graduating in 2009, she traveled around the world, as her family's economic situation had improved, looking for work and trying to join a research program abroad. Alexandra enjoyed visiting different places, but when no one hired her, she described this period as filled with depression and anxiety, especially the time she spent in the USA, saying, "I feel they want me only as a tool and not as a person." In September 2010, she returned defeated to Kazakhstan. Upon her return, she decided to go back to forums where she could contact people in similar situations. Although she wasn't well received in these forums, it was here that she learned many Russian scientists leave their country to continue their studies, so she set out to create an open access journal where Russian scientists could freely publish their work. This topic caught the attention of some people, but they didn't ask for help with the journal. Instead, they asked for help to get articles for free since they couldn't afford to pay for them. This caught her attention and she clarified, "Since 2009, I knew how to solve the download of closed access scientific articles, so I got involved and started helping participants extract articles, and people thanked me for it." For a while, unable to find work and being rejected by universities for research programs, she had to seek freelance work out of necessity, which improved her PHP skills. Alexandra wanted to use LiveJournal, a specialized online journal program, but it was blocked in Kazakhstan, so she used special anonymizing sites to bypass these blocks. To do this, one had to go to the site, paste a link on top of the URL, and then it would redirect them to the page they wanted to enter. Seeing this, Alexandra had the great idea of doing the same on a larger scale with scientific articles. "Why not do the same just for scientific articles?" she thought. That way, scientific articles could be downloaded automatically. Alexandra had been toying with this idea for years, but back then, it was just a dream. But with this new idea, the problems cleared up and she knew what to do next. She knew she wouldn't have to use existing anonymizing pages, so she started working over the next few days with her programming and hacking knowledge on a page where a closed scientific article could be searched for and opened automatically. To Alexandra, this was a revolution. And in September 2011, she created the first website that allowed researchers to get scientific articles for free. Excited, she went to the forums where she already had some reputation and made a post about what she had done, stating that she had created a website where people could download the articles they wanted for free. Each person who came looking for an article with her was sent to Sci-Hub. Alexandra wasn't sure if the page would work or not, but soon people started thanking her, as the page had helped them a lot. During the next week, every day she dedicated herself to fixing possible site failures, and after a few days, around 40 articles were being downloaded per hour. The site was a complete success, which filled Alexandra with pride. In its early days, Sci-Hub didn't have a database, and every time someone wanted to download an article, it was done through a proxy from a foreign university. But that changed on April 24, 2012, when Elbakyan received the following email from Libgyn.
Good afternoon. I am the administrator of Libgyn. Perhaps you have heard of us. Our site has recently expanded with a section of scientific articles, which now total around 11 million articles. And to continue expanding, we need proxy servers. Do you think you could provide them? In turn, I suggest that if you have traffic problems, redirect them to us.
Thus began the collaboration between Sci-Hub and Libgyn. Libgyn stored the articles downloaded through Sci-Hub in their databases. This helped make downloading more efficient, as Sci-Hub searched for the requested article in Libgyn first. If it wasn't found, it would download it via proxies and store it in Libgyn's database. This collaboration only lasted about a year because by 2013, Sci-Hub had grown so much that downloading all the requested articles via proxies and storing them in Libgyn was a tedious process. In 2014, Alexandra moved the databases to her own servers. Since then, the service operates as follows. When it receives a request, it checks if the article is in the Sci-Hub database, and if it is, it opens it from there. If not, the article is downloaded through foreign university libraries. New articles are stored both in Sci-Hub's database and in Libgyn. Sci-Hub also downloads new articles, not only by user request but also on its own, and currently there are more than 85 million scientific articles in its server's database, making Sci-Hub the largest free scientific article platform. But back in 2011, everything was going well with Sci-Hub, which was growing more and more, but its creator, Alexandra, was in Moscow looking for work. Without money and without a home, not wanting to ask her parents for help, she had to move into the dormitory of the Higher School of Economics of the National Research University, where she began a master's degree in the Faculty of State and Municipal Management. A university mate, seeing her situation, told her to open donations on Sci-Hub to help her out of her financial problems, and so she opened donations, which started to come in little by little. During this stage, she began to get more involved in politics and different religions. Communist ideologies and Himeritism resonated in Alexandra's mind, leading her to join the Pirate Party of Russia, where she presented her Sci-Hub project. But for it to be approved, it had to have some legal basis, so she looked into different national and international laws and found one.
The Universal Declaration of Human Rights of the UN. Article 27 states that everyone has the right to participate in scientific progress and to benefit from it.
Thus, human rights and different ideologies became an integral part of the project. In a job interview, Alexandra met a researcher who bought Sci-Hub's statistics from her. Upon completing them, they found that the files were downloaded from 5,000 sites, but 71.7% came from just 10 sites, led by Elsevier. On June 2, 2015, Elsevier, one of the most important scientific publishers and from which Sci-Hub downloaded most articles directly from its website, filed a lawsuit against Sci-Hub and some implicated parties, including Alexandra Elbakyan and Libgyn, although primarily against Alexandra for infringing copyrighted works under the Computer Fraud and Abuse Act,
which makes it illegal to intentionally access a computer without authorization or exceed authorized access and obtain information from any protected system.
In my opinion, this was one of the main problems, as without a lawyer, she couldn't present a solid defense in this lawsuit, as there were several more afterwards. During the trial, Elsevier had to present evidence that the articles were their property and how Sci-Hub distributed the downloaded articles from ScienceDirect.com. For this, Elsevier had to demonstrate two main things. 1. The ownership of a valid copyright. 2. The copying of original elements of the work. Elsevier easily presented evidence of both the documents and their ownership. They also presented evidence of how Sci-Hub accessed their articles by obtaining fraudulent credentials from educational institutions. allowing free access to Elsevier's website. They also showed screenshots of how one could search for an article on Sci-Hub.org, and results of copyrighted articles from Elsevier would automatically appear via a proxy. To make matters worse, Elsevier presented tweets from Alexandra stating the reasons why she downloaded the articles.
I could get any document by pirating it, so I resolved many requests, and people were always very grateful for my help. After that, I created the Sci-Hub.org website, which simply automates this process, and the website became popular immediately.
In a letter sent to the judge, Alexandra argued that she did it in the public interest, especially in developing countries that don't have access to scientific documents and cannot afford the high costs that publishers impose. In her letter, Alexandra claimed that Elsevier operated through a scam, saying,
"If you don't send money, you won't read any articles. On my website, anyone can read all the articles they want for free, and donations are voluntary. I wonder why Elsevier can't work like that."
One very important point Alexandra highlighted was that researchers don't receive money in exchange for granting Elsevier the copyrights, and in many cases, they even have to pay to be published. They do this because Elsevier owns the so-called high-impact journals, and if a researcher wants to be recognized or have a career in this field, they have to publish in these journals. She also pointed out that the scientific community and the general opinion in this field is that research papers should be distributed freely, be open access, not sold, and what companies like Elsevier do is unacceptable as it limits the distribution of knowledge. Elsevier responded that they protect the delicate ecosystem that supports research in the world, saying that the money obtained is to promote scientific research and maintain a record of scientific discoveries. Although I personally disagree with Elsevier's arguments, I do find it important what they said. If articles are allowed to be distributed without publishers, there is a risk of spreading bad science as they correct and retract articles whose conclusions turn out to be wrong. But there is no way to do this if they are out of control. But let me know what you think in the comments. The judge, seeing this, said that the public interest in promoting scientific achievements and guaranteeing access to research cannot be denied. But there are two sides, the rights of users and the public interest, and there must be a certain balance.
The act of stealing the articles and making them available is not the way, as it indeed undermines the balance of the ecosystem that supports research, and the copyright law plays a critical role in the system. He further stated that although the article is copyrighted, the ideas and perceptions it contains are not. In no case does copyright protection for an original work extend to any idea, procedure, process, system, method of operation, concept, principle, or discovery. Because of this, all ideas, theories, and facts in a copyrighted work must be made available to the public immediately.
So you can use the information from any scientific article, no matter how you obtained it, but you cannot obtain that article containing the information you need in an illegal manner. In October 2015, the New York court ruled in favor of Elsevier, shutting down the Sci-Hub.org domain and ordering Alexandra to pay an unspecified financial penalty. Alexandra didn't care about this ruling since she lived in another country and soon opened another domain working in the same way. By 2016, she was included in Nature magazine as one of the 10 most important people for her impact on the scientific community, with a total of 70 million articles downloaded by then, stating,
"I feel a moral responsibility to keep my website afloat due to the users who needed to continue their work."
In July 2016, the American Chemical Society ACS filed a lawsuit against Sci-Hub in the United States, and in June 2017, ACS won the lawsuit against Sci-Hub, ordering Sci-Hub to pay a fine of $4.8 million. That same month, Elsevier filed a second lawsuit in the Eastern District Court of Virginia, and that same year in November, the court ruled in favor of Elsevier, ordering a fine of $15 million. In 2020, a new lawsuit was opened, this time a joint one between Elsevier, Wiley, and the American Chemical Society in the Delhi High Court in India. This case has generated a lot of debate, but remains open to date. Although Sci-Hub was filled with multi-million-dollar fines, thanks to the first lawsuit in 2015, Sci-Hub went viral, growing more and more during this time, gaining popularity and obtaining more and more articles, while Alexandra opened different domains to keep Sci-Hub operational. Alexandra continued her normal life in Russia, entering and leaving a master's degree in religious studies in 2015. another master's degree in linguistics in 2015-2017, and starting a PhD in epistemology at the Institute of Philosophy in Moscow in 2020, not caring about the lawsuits, only providing access to free knowledge. At the end of 2019, the Washington Post reported that the U.S. Department of Justice was investigating Alexandra Elbakyan for her possible link with Russian intelligence and her collaboration in stealing U.S. military secrets due to her background as an IT specialist and hacker working from Sci-Hub. Although no evidence was presented in 2021, there was evidence that the FBI asked Google and Apple for data on Alexandra Elbakyan, but no statements were made about the purpose of this request. Alexandra, upon learning this, vehemently denied any connection with Russian intelligence,
saying that the Sci-Hub project is personal, and although it has political and religious connotations, these only contribute ideologically and have nothing to do with espionage.
Elbakyan knew from the beginning that Sci-Hub would be a very controversial project. The goal was always to provide students and researchers with free access to the articles of their choice. And although there are many lawsuits against Sci-Hub and its creator, her main stance is that it is not illegal.
The project is legal. The fact that publishers restrict access to information and knowledge is not. The current operation of the academic publishing industry is a massive violation of human rights.
From her birth until today, the decisions Alexandra Elbakyan made led her to create Sci-Hub, which paved the way for many researchers who didn't have available resources. And although she may not have won the lawsuits or the claims filed against her, she has won the support of the scientific community she helped with free access to the articles many need for their work. That is why she is considered one of the most important figures in the scientific world, with some placing her alongside great scientists like Albert Einstein or Isaac Newton for her relevance and contribution to knowledge. For everything she does and everything she has done, Alexandra Elbakyan will always be recognized as the Robin Hood of science.
Sci-Hub. Sci-Hub — это веб-сайт, который я создала в 2011 году. И его основная задача — предоставлять свободный доступ к академическим журналам. Ну, то есть все те дорогущие научные журналы, которые доступны только по подписке, они на сайте Sci-Hub доступны абсолютно бесплатно для чтения любому человеку. Почему я решила создать этот сайт? Часто меня спрашивают. Ну, когда я была студенткой университета, где-то на 4-м курсе, я делала диплом по нейрокомпьютерным интерфейсам. Ну, эта тема довольно научная, и поэтому для своего диплома мне нужна была информация из этих научных журналов. И вот тогда я впервые столкнулась с этой проблемой платного доступа. Конечно, я помню, что я очень долго искала, а где эти научные журналы можно скачать бесплатно. Но ведь были же сайты, где можно бесплатно скачивать научные книги по типу Гигапедии. И я очень долго в интернете искала что-то такое для научных журналов. Может быть, торренты какие-нибудь. И очень удивилась, что ничего не нашла. Были, конечно, очень сложные способы, чтобы эти статьи все-таки бесплатно достать. Но это, было довольно сложно. Я уже тогда подумала, что есть необходимость создать какую-то автоматическую программку, которая будет вот такие вот статьи открывать бесплатно. В общем, я закончила университет, и где-то 2 года спустя я стала общаться на научных интернет-форумах, и тогда встретила очень-очень много людей, у которых была точно такая же проблема. То есть у них не было доступа к научным журналам, вот этим дорогим. Тогда я решила создать веб-приложение. То есть такой сайт, куда можно будет зайти, нажать кнопку, и любая платная научная статья откроется бесплатно. Ну вот так и появился Sci-Hub.